Hello everyone, welcome back to Grant's Comics. Today we're going to be talking about my ideal DCU Justice League roster. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as well as tell me what your ideal roster would be in the comments. I love seeing them. So, obviously here, we're going to start with the Trinity. I think we could just do that all in one. It's pretty obvious that all three of them are going to be here. Batman, of course, first of all, we know he's going to have Damian as his Robin, so he'll be a more experienced Batman in it. I'm hoping we get, like, a little bit more lighthearted. Definitely, like, Blue Suit would be cool. He should probably be the leader of the team, along with one person later. I've always just liked that interpretation. And yeah, Batman's pretty typical. You can't have a Justice League without him. Next is Superman. Obviously, we've seen Superman, or we're gonna see Superman in the new movie. And this is gonna be a younger Superman, so we're gonna have a little bit of a dynamic between Superman and the others, where he's gonna be a little bit of the new kid on the block, which I think is gonna be kind of interesting throughout it. And I think a lot of the villains we're gonna see in these Justice League movies are gonna be Superman villains. Like Darkseid, he's kind of all-encompassing, but also a lot of times he just fights Superman. We're probably going to see, like, Brainiac, maybe in one of these Justice League movies. So I think he's going to be kind of our core emotional tie to whatever villain we're going to end up having in these movies. I also think that the end of the movie could probably lead into this. We obviously have, like, the whole Justice Gang stuff or whatever with the other heroes we know are in the movie. I think that might also be part of, like, a Justice League International type thing. But, of course, if we're leading into that and we have the Hall of Justice and all that stuff, it makes sense that Superman would be the one to kind of say, hey, we need a Justice League in this universe. Next is Wonder Woman. We have not really heard that much about what Wonder Woman's going to be doing in the DCU. We know we're going to get a new movie, so that should be very exciting. I assume we'll get some villains we haven't seen before. You can't have a roster without her, of course. She's the third pillar of DC with Batman and Superman. And I think they're going to go very different from Gal Gadot's portrayal of Wonder Woman in this. I think we'll probably see Wonder Woman sooner than later. I honestly think we're probably going to see Wonder Woman before Batman even. So, yeah, she's going to be very, very important for this Justice League. Next up is The Flash. We know that this universe is obviously going to be around for a while. If we have Damian in it already, a lot of these characters are already going to be older. And I can't imagine it's going to go just straight from, like, Dick Grayson Robin to Damian Robin. That would be, I think, a little ridiculous. So a lot of the characters like Nightwing or Wonder Girl, I think are gonna already be aged up into their older roles. So it would only make sense if the Flash was Wally in this universe. I think he would kind of fill that role that Spider-Man does on the Avengers of being kind of the young kid who is still figuring things out. A comedic relief for sure, and also provides an emotional core, because I still think they're going to have Barry in this universe somehow. They'll probably do similar to what was planned in the Justice League Mortal movie and have Barry die maybe in the first act of a Justice League movie or at the end of a first Justice League movie. And then Wally has to, like, kind of take up the mantle. And because there's no way... I don't think after the failure of the Flash movie that you don't pivot and do Wally next. We haven't really heard much of anything about the Flash. He's probably the biggest DC character we've just had radio silence on for the past few years after the movie. So I really, really think we need Wally in this to kind of reinvigorate the character on the big screen. And I think a lot of people would really, really come to like his character, especially after we got the great portrayal on the CW of Grant Gustin as Barry Allen. I think it'd be good to have kind of a definitive portrayal of Wally West too. Next up is Green Lantern. It was kind of tough to decide because obviously we're going to have Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart and Guy Gardner. So we have 3 Green Lanterns already confirmed for this. I pretty immediately was like, I don't think we're going to have Guy Gardner as our main Justice League Green Lantern. I think he'll still show up in a ton of stuff. We know he's in Peacemaker. We know he's going to be in Lanterns, but maybe he can be on the Justice League International team. Jon Stewart just makes sense to me. Again, younger, kind of like adds a little bit of new blood to the team. Hal Jordan will, I think, stick around, and I could see him definitely showing up in, like, third acts of movies. I think Hal Jordan will probably be similar to how we see War Machine in the Avengers movies, where he pops up at, like, the end of Age of Ultron, but he's not really, like, a core Avenger like the other ones. But Jon Stewart just makes sense. We're going to see him introduced in the show. Yeah, that'll be really, really cool. Next up is our other team leader, Martian Manhunter. It'll be really, really cool to see him. We've seen him in a lot, honestly. We've seen him in Snyder Cut. We saw him in the CW shows. It would be ridiculous not to have him, I think. I'm not sure if they'd have time in a movie to do like a full origin for Martian Manhunter, but it would be really, really cool if they kind of adapted parts of the New Frontier, because that entire storyline with him in that, of him becoming a detective and Batman, you know, coming to him in the middle of the night, all that stuff is really, really good, and I think adds a lot of really good layers into the whole DC universe. I love New Frontier. I'll probably do a video on it one day, but for now, I think that there's just so much potential with Martian Manhunter. Cast a really, really good actor for it, definitely. I think it'd be really, really cool to see him get, like, let loose with all of his powers, too, because the CW had some kind of, like, budget restrictions, you know, so he didn't always get to do stuff, and he kind of looked wonky. Snyder Cut, he's kind of in it for, like, 2 minutes. So, getting to see him full force, you know, full Martian form, doing all of his powers, phasing through stuff, all that stuff, would be really, really, really awesome. Alright, next up is Aquaman. Obviously, his last movies did extremely well, so it would be a no-brainer to continue him in the James Gunn DCU. I think we're going to get more of a comic booky type Aquaman this time after the very radical departure we got with the Zack Snyder movies, which I did love. But I think we're going to see something, maybe like the Hook Hand Aquaman, I think would be a really, really cool look to do for this universe. Either way, you can't leave him off the team, especially with how well his movies did. Alright, next up is my first kind of curveball pick, Firestorm. People haven't been really talking about him because James Gunn hasn't ever, like, mentioned him or anything, but I think he'd be a really good pair with, like, Wally on the team and, like, Jon Stewart, where it's another younger member who is dealing with, like, he has, like, these extreme superpowers, but he also has, like, a whole old dude, like, in his brain and stuff. And I think people really liked Firestorm in the CW shows too, so it'd be really cool to see him kind of take the jump onto the big screen. And I think, I don't know exactly what version I do, either is fine, but yeah, I think it would just be really, really exciting to see him. Next up is Vixen. A lot of people have talked about Vixen being in the Justice League, and I think she'd be a perfect fit. The animal powers, I think, really, really, like, lets her stand out. I also think she'd be a good bridge between a potential Justice League International team, too, because she's been a part of that. We have, like, again, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, like, those characters are all a part of these, like, other separate teams, and I also wanted to add some representation from, like, the Detroit roster, too. She's not on this list, but I almost put Zatanna on, too. I was trying to get a mix of, like, every era of Justice League in here, too, which I think I did a decent enough job with. Next up is Metamorpho. I knew we needed to include a lot of these characters we're going to see in Superman here, so you're about to see a list of them here. I don't think he's going to be in the new Superman movie a ton, but I think he'll have a pretty pivotal role. I'm not entirely sure he's actually a superhero by the time of the Superman movie. It seems like he's been kept captive by Lex Luthor, and he's being forced to use kryptonite against Superman, which is an interesting way to do things. But I think at the end of the movie, Superman's going to kind of inspire him to become a hero. And of course, his son, Baby Joey, who, if Baby Joey is not the main leader of the Justice League, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Baby Joey is going to be the most pivotal character in all of DC, and that's why Metamorpho needs to be on the Justice League, because his son is the key to all of this. Okay, next up is Hawkgirl. Hawkgirl's another character where I don't think she's going to really do that much in Superman. I think she's mainly just going to be there for the kaiju fight and kind of just filling out that team roster. We know she's going to be in Peacemaker, obviously. I didn't put Hawkman on this list. I think they're going to kind of tease out that storyline for a long time and kind of have, like, maybe Hawkman at one end of the earth doing something and then Hawkgirl doing something else. And then I think it's going to finally be a very big, like, emotional moment when you finally get Hawkman and Hawkgirl, like, together again. Okay, next up, and for our final main Justice League member here, I have Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific is clearly one of James Gunn's favorite characters, and he's really, really trying to position him as a massive, massive character in the DCU. I think that there is a ton of potential with him, and I think he's going to be in a lot of stuff. I could see him being in almost every project, just due to how integral it seems like James Gunn's making him for this universe. I think his costume's perfect. I don't really want them to change even a detail. I think he's probably going to be the main one making all the tech for everyone, which would be really, really cool too. It'd be awesome to see the Terrifics in the DCU too. I almost put more of them on the team, like Plastic Man I was considering, but I was like, they'll probably save that as a separate thing. I think they're going to start with a core Justice League and then kind of like split them all off into their different factions and stuff like that. So I'm pretty confident we'll get Terrific one day. Okay, for my bonus, I picked Snapper Carr as the mascot of the Justice League. This is a totally Silver Age thing that I could 100% see James Gunn adding. Snapper Carr is a character whose entire purpose is basically just being the Justice League mascot. And I think it would be fantastic to have kind of like a civilian character with the team. Well, there you have it. This is my final roster for who I think the DCU Justice League will consist of. Please tell me if you think I left anyone off the list. And of course, thank you for watching.